Yeah,
Hello
exactly.
ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to F1 2020. Today we are doing a different version of the FTR League. I hinted at this in one of my earlier videos or later videos. Depends which one I release first, because my organising skills for YouTube are incredible. Basically this is a realistic performance league. We had half the calendar left after the normal FTR League finished in Russia. This would have been round 11 for the standard FTR League, but we're doing it in a different format because I wanted to trial what would be my side of the league that I would be running, which is a realistic performance league, which will turn out, since we've completed at the point of me recording this, to be a very good and quite close fought championship. I'm going to explain how it works, as we're just going around through Singapore at the moment. The way the league works is also sort of like a trial league for new drivers, so we could tier them properly for the upcoming tiers. So if they need to be in a faster or slower tier, we'd understand that, alongside the social races that we did, which you'll have seen at the one I live streamed at Silverstone. But the way these set of races work, we have one qualifying session, short qualifying 18 minutes, to decide the grid positions for the first race, which will be a 25% race, and then race 2 will be a 5-lap race. Sort of works in the way that the F2 Championship does. You've got a longer race than a shorter race. However, for this one, short qualifying, you get 8 points for first, 6 for second, 4 for third, 2 for fourth, and 1 point for fifth. And then once we go into the first race, which is a 25% race, you get the standard 20-20 point systems, 1 point for fastest lap, 25 points, 18, 15, 12, so on and so forth. However, the grid for that 25% race is the reverse of the entire qualifying grid. So currently I'm in P2 at the moment with a 1:37.9. For the race, that will start me second to last. Websy would start last in the 25% race. And then once we move on to race 2, which is the 2000s point scoring system, so 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way from first down to 8th, you still get a point for fastest lap for this one. That will also be a reverse grid of the 25% race. I'll explain as we get to those races, just in case it's a bit confusing, but let's actually get into the action at the moment. We're currently on our second flying lap, I believe. Currently nearly 6/10 up on our personal best. We're purple to the first sector. Coming over the Anderson Bridge, going on to the second DRS straight of the lap. Going to sector 3 now. We're nearly 7/10 up, and it's another purple sector. It's an absolutely stonking lap. I love this track. This track is just nice to drive on this year's game. The setup I'm running as well is really nice to phone the car around this track. As we're going through the final sector, we're nearly a second up. We have a little tap of the wall there, but we don't get any damage as we're coming across this final chicane here. Get a little snap of oversteer, but that's okay. We're going to the final 2 corners now. Make sure not to cut the corner, which we do, and we invalidate the lap. And we were 8/10 up, which would have put us in pole position by quite some margin. But we've gone out at the end of the session to try and secure pole position, get those full 8 points. So far it's a pretty shocking start to the lap, but I'll let you ride on board. Once again, there's no sound because it was in a party chat. There is a little bit of tactical work that could go on here, because there isn't a setting to do these type of races, to make like custom races. You can do custom grids, but you can't do like qualifying and then reverse it for the race. It'll keep it all in one go like you do for a normal league. So going into, say, standard FTR, you would pick probably a balanced tyre loadout. So you'd have 1 set of mediums for qualifying and then 3 sets of softs. With this, because you're not carrying straight on from qualifying into the race, you start the race with completely new tyres. so you can go all out 4 sets of soft compound tyres and you don't have to worry about a strategy for the 25% race, because obviously we start a completely new session effectively going into the 2 races, because we have to reverse the grid. We can't do that in the session because it takes some cover like you do with normal F1. Sure, this is all probably being explained too much. It's pretty obvious when you look at the videos. But coming out of this session, we'll start a new, not a new lobby, but a new race. We'll all back out, retire. As we come across the line there, I think we get P2. Pretty decent lap. I mean, I could have gone faster as was shown, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. So yeah, when we load up for this race, straight after qualifying, we all just take each other out. We retire, we go back to the lobby, and then we go in, and then we can choose our tyre compounds and what we want to start the race on. So there is a little bit of strategy here. Do you qualify last and get pole position, or do you try and qualify first and then try and build your way up through the field? So, and obviously,
a few times,
you know, tyres, you don't really need to worry about, you know, what tyres you go out on. I've seen people go out on mediums, so they probably didn't click onto that as soon as what I did. But going into the race, I see fresh sets of tyres. Pretty simple one-stop strategy. I don't want to start on the mediums because it's Singapore and I'm expecting a safety car straight away, or at least in the first couple laps, so then I can go onto the mediums, making sure to put my setup on because it doesn't save because it's a new session. And there you can see setup there. You can pause the video if you want, lowering the tyre pressures just so they don't overheat as much. And another bonus you get from starting a new session, because of the custom grids, you actually get all your soft tyres back. So if there's a late safety car, you can go to a fresh set of softs instead of a fresh set of mediums or a used set of softs, if that makes sense. It's probably far too complicated. I mean, I think it's been explained well. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, here we are going to start the Grand Prix. We've got 4 red lights now, we've got 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. We get a pretty decent start. Evo Freezy gets an absolutely stonking start there in the Haas car. He goes up the inside of a couple of people. We're going to overtake around the outside of Websy in the Renault. There's contact and there's many crashings going on. Dodge has lost a few positions. He nearly rebounds into me off the side of someone. Origin's Pank is going slow. We could maybe go around the outside of him. Unfortunately, we don't have the momentum, and then Dodge is coming up our inside. Absolutely manic. We're using some overtakers to try and keep that Mercedes behind us. Remember, this is realistic performance. That Mercedes is going to be ridiculously quick in a straight line. We've got H2O Cloud and Raz Callum battling up ahead. We're going at the inside of Origin's Pank, but we decided to back out of it, realising that it's probably not the smartest move to cut the inside there. And that first sector was pretty manic. We're still sticking onto the back of Origin's Pank here. We don't have the best overtaking setup.
Remember, if he wins this race, back again.
But that's the how I like to think. Unfortunately, Paint gets held up behind Cloud and we pick up orange front wing damage. Probably one of the worst circuits to have front wing damage, as Jeff is suggesting a strategy change. Go on to the mediums early. I'm going to, as Pank goes really deep into that corner, he's definitely picked up front wing damage from that. I'm surprised he didn't retire. That collision, that was a pretty hefty crash into the wall. But we're up to P6 out of 9 drivers. 69, haha, very funny. It's a very old joke at this point. Doesn't mean it's not funny though occasionally. Looking to try and get ahead of H2O Cloud in the Red Bull. Obviously, I think it's pretty self-explanatory at this point, as H2O Cloud, I believe, pulls into the pits, that the fastest drivers go in the slowest cars, and the slowest drivers go in the fastest, to make it fair, so it basically balances out. Is on lap 2 now, we decided we're losing far too much time to Raz Callum up ahead. Evo Freezy, our championship rival from FTR, is in the lead by about 8 seconds. We're coming to the pits, we're going to stick our same medium tyres, we're going to change our front wing, and we're going to come out behind Dodger, I believe, who actually spins on the last corner just there. And he enters the pit lane. I don't know whether he was trying to come in the pit lane and jumped out the pit lane, because it's quite tight and difficult that pit entry, or whether he just spun out the final corner. But he's into the pits as well, so I'm not going to lose any positions out of that.
It won't be long,
Yeah,
Carl.
every weekend to make
Next
sure
lap,
it's
just
fair,
pass me.
we get the drivers that have said they want to race to post in a lap time in the Williams that they've done around Singapore, and that's their car they'll get for the Singapore race and the next race, which is at Brazil. I should also mention that the 25% race takes place in Singapore, so qualifying and the 25% race takes place here, and then the 5-lap race takes place in what would be round 12 of the normal FTR calendar, as you saw in the first episode of FTR, which would be Brazil. So that's where we're going to be going after this. Currently we're 30 odd seconds behind Websy, which is not really where we want to be, but they still have to stop again, and I'm hoping just my pace can drag me along.
No.
Currently we would be getting, I think, 14 points so far out of these 2 races, obviously starting second on the grid, and then we'll be finishing 6th. But I think our main goal is just to try and push as much as possible here.
Oh, I can't believe that's just happened.
I think this is our fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so I'm staying on board for the entire lap. So coming through the second sector split, we're actually 1.2 seconds, so Websy puts in the fastest lap of a 1:41. So a very good lap time for a race there. We're hopefully going to try and better that. I think race pace, I believe we can get low 41s, maybe high 40s. We'll have to see. We are on the medium tyres and Websy's on the softs, so that's going to give him a significant pace advantage, but his softs are going to be wearing out quite heavily. Yeah, tyre wear is accelerated for these 25% races, so the wear on the softs is a lot more prevalent. This track is absolutely awful. As we come across time, we do a 140.6 as a fantastic lap. As we now move on to lap 5, I believe someone retired, and we have a safety car here. I believe there was some collisions at turn 1. There was a lot of fighting, I think, between H2 Cloud and Evo Freezy. There was some interesting shenanigans on. It was quite a long Stewart's review of all those crashes. I wish there was a way I could save the videos from the Discord and put them in here so you could see, but I think just attacking each other really. As we're coming to the pits, and we're actually going to put a set of soft compound tyres. Now this is interesting. I don't think we have a fresh set of mediums. I think I went with a softer compound coming into this race, and I'm thinking the soft tyres can maybe make it. We're going to be at the safety car until probably about lap 8, and then we only have to do 7 laps, so I think we could maybe do it. But the tyres are going to be pretty iffy by the end of it. But yeah, there was a lot of controversy with the collisions between Evo and H2O Cloud. Evo not being the cleanest himself, there was some instance where he was overtaking people in the safety car. Now that could just be the game saying you could pass them. We all know what Codemasters are like in terms of their safety cars. As we get going for the restart here. On the best restart, Origin's Paint gets a massive snap of oversteer on his cold medium tyres. We've got pretty cold softs, but they should roll up in the first couple of corners. And now we have a massive tyre advantage, and we need to make this tyre advantage work in our favour pretty quickly, because in 4 laps time, these softs will die out. As Evo has actually been spun there. I think that was by H2O Cloud if I do remember correctly. And I think that spin is the final straw for Evo. Sadly he did leave the league. After this race he left, and then just left the league, stating that, you know, it was pretty dirty driving. Thankfully he wasn't here for the finale, no spoilers, but that was an absolutely manic set of races. But it's sad that Evo's left. You know, he's a really quick driver, and I enjoyed fighting with the championship for him and, you know, tier 1 with people like Mr. Bonotto and a couple of other new drivers that I've found, or have been found by other people, are really quick. So tier 1 would have shaped up to be a fantastic league, a fantastic season, especially with 22 races before she's left. And because he retired on track, he actually brought out the safety car. This is very good news for me because my tyres are getting a rest break for 2 minutes. As Websy brakes and safety car, I have to brake to avoid Websy, and then Origin's paint actually hits the back of us there. Bit annoying. You see, we're just clipping the incident quickly just so we can send it into the stewards for the other stewards to review. That gives us both a 5-second penalty. Really, that could really affect our race position. But I can tell you now, that 5-second penalty is removed. So far we are in effective P2 as Kyle has 8 seconds worth of penalties, and especially with Websy behind in that Renault who did sandbag a little bit in the time trial submission. Websy's just going to breeze past him. Yeah, there's going to be no contest there. I'm hoping to try and stay with them, but I didn't get the best restart. These tyres are dying off very quickly. We've still got to do another 4 laps on them, and that's going to be probably the longest 4 laps of my life. See, they're already at 20%, and we've only done like 1.5, 2 laps in anger, and then 2 laps behind the safety car, I think. As we come to lap 13 now, Websy actually goes up the inside of Kyle there, who's now picked up another 3-second penalties on 11 seconds. We managed to break out a gap between myself and Peng, who got caught up in battles. I think he actually had to pit because of damage. The gap between myself and H2O Cloud is 2 seconds, so I think I can hold him off for the rest of the race. And now we've just got to hunt down Kyle. We've got 2 laps to do so. I want to get past Kyle as quickly as possible. I want to try and chase after Websy. Maybe I can eke out a little bit more life as Kyle goes defensive. We go around the outside, we squeezes us really close up against the barrier there, but luckily he left us enough room, we didn't make contact. So it's all fair and square in racing. But again, this is just costing us time here. We need to try and get past as much as possible. But this is the thing here. I'm the faster driver because I'm in the slower car. But then again, I'm in the slower car. So it's the idea is fantastic of having the drivers, you know, in slower cars and testing them every week. It's great. And obviously from, you know, the season that's gone by, I can tell you that it's a fantastic idea, and I really hope it does take off. It should do, so like a weekday league. We can run it alongside the calendar to get practice in, or we can do a different calendar. I guess decisions of all there of that will come in the future. I believe, as we're currently chasing down Kyle at this point, there are a couple of social races for tier 2 and tier 3 being held within the next couple of weeks. These will be to tier the drivers effectively, just to make sure that they're in the right tier. As we'll close down on Kyle now. This is the last lap of the Grand Prix. Go through turn 1. He actually brakes really early there. We lose a massive chunk of our right front end plate.
I saw some debris flying around.
And I can actually tell you that's because he was in AI mode going through that.
Oh. No.
So I was understandably quite annoyed at that. There's FTR and I dropped it coming out the 3rd corner and he retires from the race. Rather annoying, they did that. That's hampered our race quite a lot. There was a warning given for that, because obviously you can't be doing that, you know, in the middle of a race. You know, that took me completely by surprise, him going that slow through turn 1. But anyway, it happened, and now we've got to defend from him and H2O Cloud, who was actually caught to the back of us here. And we're going to be losing so much time, so I'll just pancreatize the race in the pit lane. Going over the Anderson Bridge here, going into the hairpin, we brake a little bit early, but we actually get punted by Kyle, and we don't lose the back end completely, but spin around, but that affects our run onto the straight. Kyle loses a position to H2O Cloud. Now H2O Cloud's going to try and look at us. Going into this corner, he does a massive dive bomb on us, but he actually tags the back of us. Half spins our car a little. Now he's up the inside of us. Going to this hairpin, he dives in really deep, being very aggressive there in that Red Bull. We try and hang it around the outside, but there's lots of contact, there's lots of aggression going on here. Unfortunately we lose out, and there's no other ways we can get past him unless he picks up a penalty. Websy wins the race from, I think, 9th on the grid. So he did last first, fantastic, he's dominated these first 2 sessions. We come across the line in P4, that penalty removed would put us into P3, and
Did you spit?
Sadly, there was contact. I feel like
No. Did I overtake you by
H2O Cloud and Kyle were a bit too aggressive there. I mean, it's understandable. It's Singapore. You get very annoyed, caught up behind drivers, but it happened. We get the fastest lap as well. I think overall a pretty decent race considering what happened with the wing damage. As we're now going to move on to race 2, this is a 5-lap race at Brazil, a reverse grid of the results from that 25% race at Singapore. And we're going to try and salvage some points out of this.
2,000 points.
I don't know, I think there's only 7 people, so wherever we finish, unless we DNF, we'll get points. But I want to try and get at least top 3, try and get a podium. As we get underway now, we get a mediocre start. Try and go up the inside as Kyle gets spun on the back of H2O Cloud. Websy goes right round the outside of myself and Raz Callum. And then H2O Cloud also gets caught up in the exit of turn 3. He runs right, so both the Red Bulls having an absolute chaotic start to this Brazilian Grand Prix. We go up the inside of Raz Callum there. That promotes us up into P4.
Yeah, that was pooing my pants.
We're going to have to chase after Websy. FTR C-Night is actually currently leading this race, so maybe he can pick up his first win of FTR RPRL, which is what we're calling it, Realistic Performance Racing League. It would actually be his first win in any of the leagues that we've done, Standard FTR or the Realistic League. But Websy is all over the back of Dodger here. It's putting that Mercedes under constant pressure. I'm trying to find some little avenues, being a little bit opportunistic but not too risky. As we get a lovely drive going out the final proper corner here, we're going to maybe look for a move on Websy. Websy breezes past Dodger, we breeze past Dodger too. Now we're going to try and look for a move maybe around the outside of Websy into turn 1. We dive in late on the brakes, but Websy goes even later and he holds the inside. And then as we're trying to go over the inside of turn 3, it's a very awkward corner to do that unless you have massive amounts of momentum, which unfortunately we didn't. So Websy holds on to P2 there. But now we're going to wait as we're chasing after FTR C-Night here. Absolutely bearing down on him. I can imagine he was hoping that this race was only 3 laps and not 2. Anyway, trying to just eye up Websy everywhere. Like, this is such an intense battle at the front. Yeah, we're looking for places to overtake every other corner. We're always constantly nose to tail as we get a little bit snap of overstick to another corner. So really struggling with that corner. That's probably one of the worst corners on this track. As Websy's pretty much close to the back of FTRC now. He's either going to go for a move going into turn 1. It actually gets a fantastic drive going out of the final corner. And maybe Chris getting a bit of oversteer there, or just a poor exit, and he shoots past him. There's no competition between the Renault and that Ferrari engine, as he sets the fastest lap of a 1:10.3. Now it's our job to try and get past FTRC. Now actually drops it coming through turn 1.
Hello.
He puts himself in the barrier. No chance of him trying to fight that win back. There's, you know, any form of collision or damage on this game or on this race is pretty much, you know, it's race over at that point. As we now got to the final lap of the Grand Prix, we weren't able to close the back of Websy, just his pace in the Renault. But we're about equal on pace. Me and Websy. In FTR, he would be my driver of the season, I feel.
Probably outrun a Williams.
Put in some fantastic performances and was consistently, you know, there, waiting to pounce on any mistakes. And being in that Renault is obviously going to be a little bit quicker, a little bit better everywhere around the circuit than me. We picked up a 2-second time penalty a couple of laps ago. Not really going to affect our position unless we get past Websy, but it doesn't look like we're going to do it. We aren't even going to get DRS going onto the main straight, so we can't drag race him up to the line. We've got 6.2 seconds back to Kyle, who's worked his way back up to P3.
That's fine.
From that climb to start, Callum in 4th, H2O Cloud's going to come across in 5th, and then as we pick up the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the final lap, FTRC now is going to come across the line in P6. So overall, I'd say pretty decent set of races.
Those fucking 360 pirouettes you were doing were fucking awesome today.
Could have been a bit better.
I'll have a spinner of the day.
Points there, mate.
But I guess,
Minus 25.
you know, starting it off in Singapore after a couple of weeks of not doing proper league racing, being a bit rusty. And as we're going to move on to the points tally, Websy completely dominated those first 3 rounds there. So he's leading on 43 points. We're in second on 31, and then H2 Cloud on 22 and Callum on 21. Overall, I would say pretty decent. You know, the idea is great. I think I know actually for a fact that it's going to be considerably better in the future. So watch out for those episodes. And if you didn't if you did like this idea and you want to get involved, Discord will be in the description. So if you have F1 2020 on the Xbox, please do consider joining. And if you did like this video, please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you all for another episode of FTR very soon.